Hey everyone, welcome to Cinema Safari. Today we are talking about the drama starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. So let's get right into it with the drama. So the drama was written and directed by Christopher Borgli and stars Zendaya and Robert Pattinson as a happily engaged couple whose relationship is unexpectedly tested after a big revelation from Zendaya's character, like a week before their wedding, which causes a lot of drama in the film. So Zendaya plays Emma Harwood, a bookstore clerk, and Robert Pattinson plays Charlie Thompson, a British museum director, and um, they are engaged in the film. It also stars Alana Haim, Mahmoud Afi, Haley Gates, Zoe Winters, Hannah Gross, Sydney Lemon, among some others as well. So the film, it was released kind of alongside the Super Mario Galaxy movie. That was released April 1st on a Wednesday, technically. Um, but it had the same opening weekend, so to speak. The drama, it was projected to gross 12 to 15 million in its opening weekend. It made 6.3 million on its opening day. And as of today, it's made about around 30 million worldwide. So the drama was a very complex film, so to say. It had a lot of a lot of heavy topics in the film, um, with school shootings being a big topic in the film, and that was definitely interesting in a lot of ways. So in the film, for those of you that haven't watched it yet, sorry for any spoilers. But so a week before the wedding, Zendaya, Rob Pattinson, and their two friends, they are revealing secrets to each other that no one knows. Zendaya's character ends up revealing that she was trying to, or thought about planning a school shooting when she was a teenager, and that really shakes Robert Pattinson's character. So they, it really rocks the relationship, and they don't end up getting married at that point, and kind of split up from that. So the film, if you we'll get back to the school shooting aspect of it, but if you just talk about the film in general, a lot of people I've talked to did really enjoy the film. They said it was a well-made film and very entertaining. Um, Especially Zendaya's character, definitely a highlight of the film. After watching it, I can definitely see that her character was very complex. She had like her hearing loss, I think. So definitely a strong performance by her. Definitely kind of like, I don't want to say the heart of the film, but definitely a big part of the film story, uh, from like an acting standpoint. Definitely a big thing from her. Um, the story, having it, we're as an audience, we're used to like the romantic comedies, that format for a movie like this. Um, but this one, there's a lot of dark topics in it, and it covers a lot of darker tones and stuff. So it was a shift from what we're used to, which was interesting, and I think kind of made it a little more enticing to watch than some other films, because it was that, it did have that darker element to it, but it also had humor in it. It did have a lot of dark humor, which was definitely worked for the film that was made. So yeah, I definitely think that like the way the film was made and the performances, especially Zendaya, definitely positive for the film. Um, and having it be like not just a straight romantic comedy, but have those darker elements mixed in, um, definitely made the film more interesting, I think, than some other films that are similar and have similar storylines. Because the storyline itself isn't too complex, but the way they approached it, I think, was very an interesting way to watch the film. On the opposite side of it, it did cover a very heavy topic, school shootings, which was criticized by a lot of people. Mostly, I think, because that A24, when they marketed the film, they did not, they hid any um, hints that this topic would be part of the film. Um, and like I also read that they hid it during marketing. They talked to like journalists and had them hide that aspect of it as well. And that was criticized by a lot of parents of students who were killed in school shootings, different like activists, like different organizations that fight school shootings, stuff like that. So that part of it was definitely criticized by a lot of people, and school shootings are definitely it's a heavy topic. They're a big thing in our country, unfortunately. So I definitely don't think that was something that they should have necessarily hid during their marketing. I think they should have been more straightforward with that. It having that is like the big part of the plot. So I get why from like a marketing standpoint and from a movie standpoint and like a movie maker standpoint, I understand why they hit it, because it is, like the big part of the film of why everything happens, basically. Um, so I get it from that like mindset, but at the same time, you're talking about school shootings, which is a heavy topic for a very significant amount of people. So, you know, I understand it from like a creative standpoint, but at the same time, just from like a humanized standpoint, I guess. They probably shouldn't have completely hidden it until the movie was released. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a big debate, big thing that a lot of people could talk about. Um, but overall, as a film, I thought it was very interesting. It was a very compelling film. I thought it was definitely very interesting to watch, and definitely a heavy topic, and um, yeah, just a very interesting film. I thought very different than a lot of films we're used to. Story wise, not really, but just the way it was approached, the way it was performed was very enticing to watch. So, with that, we are going to wrap up today's episode. So, the drama, very, very dark, very heavy film with its topics. It was made well, I think, especially performances, like I said. But just, having those topics of like school shootings back to that, that's not something necessarily that should have been hidden during marketing, but it was. And But there are, what I forgot to say before, there are like other movies out there that have handled like school shooting topics in movies, or even like TV shows that have had episodes where um, school shootings do take place, where that is a primary part of that episode or that movie, that have been handled, I think, better, in a better way than um, this film necessarily handled it, because it's not a topic you really can just approach, lightly, take lightly. It's a lot of, it's a very significant topic that a lot of people throughout the country, um, and probably the world deal with. So it's definitely not something that you can just do like this. So it was just, I think it was approached kind of poorly, about how they approached it based on what the topic is. So, there are some other things out there that have approached it, I think, in a better way, especially for those people that it does affect more than others. So with that being said, overall, as a film from that side of things, definitely a very interesting film. Definitely a film that I think people should watch. I think, especially for those people who enjoy these kinds of films. Definitely not really the film you would necessarily expect, especially from the marketing. So those twists as like a you know artist, it was interesting to watch, kind of interesting. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on the film. If you've seen it, comment down below. We're on Instagram, X. If you're not following us already, make sure you're following us for any updates. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. As always, thank you for your support, and we will see you next time.